Something strange happens when a person begins to genuinely wake up. They expect clarity. They expect relief. They expect the accumulated weight of their history to finally begin lifting as awareness expands and the old patterns lose their grip. What they don't expect, what nobody warned them about, is that the past gets louder before it gets quieter. Old grief surfaces without obvious trigger. Memories from decades ago arrive with the emotional charge of something that happened yesterday. Relationships long since ended begin pulling at something in the chest. Versions of yourself you thought were buried. The frightened child, the rageful adolescent, the person who said yes when they meant no for years, start pressing against the walls. And the question that arrives with all of it is the one that stops people cold in the middle of their awakening. If I'm expanding, why does everything from the past feel more present than ever? The answer to that question doesn't just explain what's happening. It transforms the entire experience from something frightening into something you can finally move through. Part 1. What awakening actually disturbs. Most people assume awakening is a process of addition. More awareness, more peace, more clarity added on top of the existing self. It isn't. It is a process of subtraction. And what gets subtracted first is the system of suppression that has been keeping the past in place. The ordinary waking mind is, among other things, a management system. Its job is to keep the unprocessed material of your life, the grief that was too large, the shame that was too threatening, the anger that wasn't safe to express, contained below the threshold of awareness, not healed, not resolved, managed, held at a distance sufficient to maintain daily functioning. This management requires constant energy, and it requires the maintenance of a particular kind of psychological rigidity, a contracted, defended, carefully boundaried sense of self that knows exactly what to feel and what to keep suppressed. When awakening begins, that rigidity starts to soften. The defenses thin. The boundaries of the managed self become more permeable. And the material that was being held below the threshold, held there specifically by the tension of the defended self, begins to rise. Not because something has gone wrong, because something is finally going right. The past feels alive during awakening because the system that was keeping it at a manageable distance is beginning to dissolve. The loosening of the self is simultaneously the loosening of everything the self was containing. Part 2. The body's unfinished business. Here is what most spiritual frameworks miss, and what makes all the difference in understanding why this process feels so physical. The past is not stored in memory alone. It is stored in the body. Every experience that was too overwhelming to fully process at the time of its occurrence left a residue, a pattern of tension, contraction, or activation held in the nervous system, waiting for the conditions that would allow it to complete its natural arc. Grief interrupted before it could fully move, rage that had nowhere safe to go, fear that arrived and never discharged because the situation demanded composure. Each of these incomplete experiences left a signature in the body, a held breath, a chronic tightening, a place where the energy got frozen mid-movement and has been waiting there ever since. Awakening creates the conditions, the expanded awareness, the softened defenses, the willingness to be present with what is, that the body has been waiting for. And it takes the invitation, the trembling, the unexpected tears, the sudden heat, the waves of emotion with no clear current cause. These are not regressions. They are completions. the body processing what it never got to finish. Old experiences finally moving through the system they got stuck in years or decades ago. The past feels alive because it is alive, held in tissue and nerve, waiting not to be relived, but to be released. Part 3. Why this is not regression. When this process begins, the mind almost always misinterprets it. It reads the surfacing of old pain as evidence that something is wrong, that the practice isn't working, that awakening has somehow made things worse rather than better, that this grief or rage or shame means you haven't healed at all, that you are back at square one, overwhelmed by the same material that overwhelmed you years ago. This misreading causes people to do the most counterproductive thing possible. They reapply suppression. They get control of themselves. They push it back down. They return to the management strategies they were using before. Staying busy, staying cognitive, staying above the feeling, and the window closes. The process that was midway through completion gets interrupted again. The material returns to storage, now carrying the additional weight of having been rejected twice. What is actually happening when the past surfaces during awakening is not regression. It is excavation. The expanding awareness is moving into territory the defended self never allowed it to enter. It is touching material that has been sealed off, not to reopen old wounds, but to finally close them. The difference between a wound being reopened and a wound being completed is presence. If you are in the middle of this, if the past is louder than you expected and the awakening feels less like liberation and more like excavation, understand what is actually happening. You are not going backward. You are going deeper. The grief is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of expansion. That something in you has finally opened wide enough to hold what was always there, waiting for exactly this quality of presence. You don't have to do anything dramatic with what surfaces. You don't have to understand it, analyze it, or resolve it through the mind. You just have to stay. Breathe. Let it move through the larger space that is opening in you without contracting back around it. The past feels alive during awakening because awakening is the first time you have ever been present enough to actually be with it. And what is truly met, completely, honestly, without resistance, does not stay. It completes. It releases. And what remains is the space that was always underneath it. That space is what you were waking up to all along. If this named what you're moving through right now, share it with someone who thinks their awakening is going wrong. What they're experiencing might not be a breakdown. It might be the most important breakthrough of their life. See you in the next one.